Good morning. I've never lived anywhere with so many yellow vehicles. It's quite amazing. I don't think I'd seen that many yellow cars until I moved here. Now it seems like this is the place to be for yellow cars. There's like an influx of them, All the dealers in the area must have had a good deal on yellow cars, it seems, and yellow vans. Yellow push bikes, and yellow motorbikes, and yellow clothes, and yeah. Anywho, I don't want to talk about that. It's just an observation. I want to talk a bit today about not walking around filming stupid registrations. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the times shortly after I'd been cuckooed. I keep calling it cuckooed from my house. I'm going to rename it fake alien abduction, and I'll maybe write a post about why I've named it that, but I'll run out of time if I start trying to talk about it here. So when I was alien abducted, my fake alien abduction experience in my home, and I still had a little bit of trust in the police, and although the police were there that night, fuck off, sorry, not yous, just some old cunt with his morning. Fucking morning, I'm not in morning anymore. I was in morning for a long time, not in morning anymore. Anyway, yeah, I'm sure he was just being nice. It's just me that's got the attitude problem. It's an induced attitude problem though. It's been manufactured over time. I am exactly where they wanted me to be. I'm a shadow of my former cheery, nice, helpful, sunny dispositioned self. And I use the word shadow, it's funny because one of them drove past me the other day at about 5 miles an hour just to make sure I heard this little song on his radio, playing the song, "My shadow's only one that walks beside me," which I thought was quite funny. I did think that was quite comical. You've got no mates, basically. You've no pals. Your shadow's the only one that walks with you. None of us walk with you. You're just too evil and bad. You're a terrible person, Emma. And I do love it. I do like it sometimes. They do make me laugh, although they don't mean to. They want to. The need is to destroy me, isn't it? But unfortunately for them, even though I'm an adult, I still have a bit of a childish way about me, and I've never really taken life too seriously, so it works in my favour now, it really does. But anyway, back to the police. So even though the police were there that night, I thought, going forward, that maybe they were just people in costumes, maybe they were members of this kind of criminal network and they weren't real police. So after a couple of months, once I started remembering everything, because I never remembered everything straight away, even up to a year later or more, there were still bits that happened that night. They were coming back, they drugged me. So, I wasn't totally aware, but a couple of months after they'd done it, I started getting some memories of things that they'd said and, things that they'd done to me, tried to do to me, etc. So I thought, fuck this, it was just the absolute chaos that surrounds me now it started happening then, and it was kind of all encompassing, it was like I was shiting myself basically. I was scared out of my mind. I didn't know what the fuck was happening, who to turn to, what to do about this. But I suppose the saving grace through all of this is that I've never ever doubted myself or my experience, my memories. No one's ever been able to gaslight me, although many have tried, including my brother, including my aunt. They all tried to gaslight me. I phoned my aunt afterwards, and again, it was several weeks after this had happened, and I said, they told me I'm moving out of my house, and these people are moving in, and they'd played a clip of her. I'd changed my name by deed poll. I didn't want my name to be Claydon because I didn't want to be associated with that. I had a lot of hatred for years and years for both of my parents. I'd thought that my dad had committed suicide, and he'd left, the way that he'd done it and the way that he'd left me in particular, feeling a lot of guilt and a lot of kind of hatred towards him. And again, that was planned. I don't think that now. I think he was murdered. But yeah, I didn't want that name, and I didn't want to use the name Christian because that was my ex-husband's name and I can't stand him. So I changed my name by deed poll when I was drunk to that of my nan's name. So when they came into my house, that's one of the things that they played to me, was my aunt Rosemary saying, how dare she change her name? My mother was a great woman, she doesn't deserve to use that name. So I've phoned her, a few weeks after they've done this to me, and I've said, this is what they've done. They're taking my house, saying I'm never going to see my children again, like I don't have a job. They've kind of forced me out of my work and all this weird shit's happening around me. And I said, and you were, they played a clip of you. And I repeated back to her what I'd heard her say, the clip that they'd played for me. How dare she take that name? And she went, oh, I never said those words. There was more weird shit surrounding my family, I'll get into that another time, but she went, I never said those words. I was like, all right, okay. And she went, I'm on my way out. Is there anyone you could talk to, maybe a friend at work? But it's just the way she said it. It was so vindictive, so fucking spiteful. And she went, is there someone you can speak to? And then she went, I know a lady who has what you have, but she's a much older lady. But never went into any more detail than that. That's all she said. I know a lady that has what you have, but she's a much older lady. And I thought, I should have asked her at the time, what the fuck do I have, But the what she was kind of getting at, can't think of the word that I want to use. What she was getting at, what she was pushing towards was Alzheimer's or dementia or Korsakoff's. Because those three conditions they use around me all the time. I'm a target. And there's not a week goes by in this house that I live in there's not a charity bag for Alzheimer's. It's a constant that I'll walk into this supermarket and they'll be collecting for dementia or Alzheimer's. People have Alzheimer's stickers on their cars, on their t-shirts when they're running, if it's not fucking stroke t-shirts trying to tell me what they're going to do to me, it's Alzheimer's. So that is obviously what she was getting at, but where that come from can only be that she was involved, because this is a woman that I hadn't seen for years at this point. Barely ever spoke to her. She had nothing to do with my life as far as I knew, although I know now that she clearly did. She's clearly an outsider looking in, keeping a very fucking close eye, but as far as I knew, she'd never visited me in Scotland, never visited my children, never, there was no real Christmas cards or, anything like that. You know what I mean? The woman, there was a phone call maybe once every fucking 6 months to this woman, and that was as far as the relationship went. So where she was getting her information from is anyone's guess, but this is part of the narrative that they want to go with. That I've got Alzheimer's or Korsakoff's Alzheimer's, which is caused by alcohol. These fucking clowns, honestly. Don't know if the camera picks up, it's all camouflage. So anyway, I'm rambling on, and I'm going to run out of time before I get to the end of the story. I go off in tangents. There's a DPD man, of course. What does it stand for? DPD. What do the initials PD stand for? Oh, I wonder. I'm surprised he's not got the fucking DPD van, because they usually come past me with that one. He's just got the uniform. Why he's fucking reversing there, who knows? There's something to turn further down the road, but there we go. They just need to be seen, these fucking PDs. Anyway, so yeah, I went to the police station about a couple of months after, I think, and I'd printed out, I knew that they'd been into my bank accounts, so I'd gone to the bank and printed out statements going back 9 months or something from this incident happened. And 3 months before, around about March 2022, I noticed on my bank statement, because I hadn't been receiving them, I'd been using online banking, but obviously they were hacked into all my accounts and everything, And even if I wasn't receiving statements, my mail was being stolen. It had been stolen for years. So I went to the bank, and that was kind of funny as well, because I went into the bank and I said, I need copies of bank statements going back 9 months or a year or whatever I asked for. And she went, okay. She was a snidey cow as well. It was Lloyd's Bank. It was in Kirkendilloch, the branch that I went to. And she went, okay. And she took my account number or my card, put my card in. She printed me out a sheet of paper that had my account number and my sort code on it, and it said balance 0.00. She handed it to me. It was fucking hilarious, because I was working, well, I'd been working at that time and I had quite a decent job, you know, I was an HGV driver, I was earning a decent amount of money, and you know, I'm quite savvy with money. I've never been like a spendaholic or anything. I've always been quite good with money. My dad was a chartered accountant, so he kind of drilled it into us, you know, about money, about kind of looking after your money. Let's slow down, my breath's going as well there. Take deep breaths. Yeah, so I thought that was quite funny. I handed it back to her and I went, "What's that?" And she went, "Oh, sorry," you know, with a smirk. I thought it's just them, they're just future showing you what it is that we're going to fucking do. You're going to end up with 0 points here. I mean, it came true. Well done to her. It did. That's the fucking case now. But anyway, she eventually, the cunt, gave me statements. So in one of these at about March 2022, on the estate, you know, usually in every other statement that I'd had printed out, I now had physical copies of it, you know, paper copies, was, you know, my outgoings every month. So it'd be like, but it would just say the name of the company. So it'd say like, you know, Netflix and, you know, electricity, whatever company I was with, and, you know, British Gas, and, you know, whatever bills you had, you know, whatever outgoings, whatever direct debits I had, it would just have the name. But in March of that year, just a few months before they'd done this, that month's statement, every single direct debit that was outgoing had the full account number listed under it. So it would be like, you know, the electricity, I can't remember who I was with, say Eon or something. So I'd have Eon and it would have my full, like, account number, like, registered to my electricity account. And then it'd be the same with, you know, Netflix, and it'd be the same with, you know, I was paying union fees because I was a member of the union where I worked. Every single, in that March, every single one of my outgoings had an account number next to it. It never happened, you know, in the 9 months previous, and it's never happened again since. I cancelled all my fucking outgoings shortly after that, you know. I thought, fuck you. But everything had this. So I took this to the police station. I'm going to have to end this and then do a part 2, I think. My breath's going. I'm not even walking. I'm not even, you know, walking fast. It's like I can feel it. It's like a manufactured, like someone's pushing on my chest and not allowing me to get any kind of breath in, you know, to stop me speaking. It's a weird feeling, you know. I'm not out of breath, but it's like I have hardly any breath in me. It's so strange. Anyway, I'll do a part 2 and actually get on to what it was that I was talking about.